Even if you don't support it, you can't ignore it. Even if you had an army on your side, you can't destroy it. We not ready for the smoke. We looking for it. When we hit the streets, we'll be so deep the door you can't ignore.
We are not a hate group. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ is a nonviolent, Bible-based movement. We do not advocate or condone any acts of violence against any race, ethnicity, or gender. We advise that if anyone hears or knows of any plots to cause harm to anyone or to break the laws of the land, you must contact the proper authorities to bring awareness to any possible threat, as stated in Leviticus chapter 5, verse 1.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Welcome to another edition of The Late Show. Precept upon precept. We're your hosts. My name is Captain Shem.
Officer Micah.
Officer Yasa.
Officer Thomas.
So like we always do, but before we start, Micah, can you plug the donate to the Booster Club? So you have seen what we have done in the last less than a year, okay? We have gone to Japan. We have gone to the past, we blitzed almost the whole world. Now we're in different countries. We're going to the Pacific Island countries. You saw Bishop and them go to the Solomon Islands. The reason why is because of that right there. The Booster Club, you can text, okay? A lot of times we don't talk about it. You can text the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 646-982-3858. You can donate using your PayPal icon, the what the heck it's called, the QR code, thank you. And I want to give a shout out to there's a lot of y'all that live in places that you cannot get to IUIC school. And we may not, Bishop sometimes a shout out Tuesday does, but we may not know, and you might not get the front page news. But I'm going to tell you where you're making news, and that's with the Most High. Because when he sees you have a cheerful heart and you're giving, and you may be in a position where you have more, right? And you're doing more, the Most High sees things. His eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. They see evil, but he also sees what's going on in the earth. So thank you, brothers and sisters. Also, there are other people that are, what's the word? How you say that? When you're doing something unanimously, that are behind the scenes, maybe not with us, and they're still donating, and the Lord is using you too. Anonymously, very good. So with that, further ado, we're going to get into tonight's first segment with Officer Micah with the Watchman Report. Stick around.
You are now live.
We the sons of God, we don't back down. Looking good, I'll take it to your face, I tell you right now. Step up to the camp.
Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ bless. Most High in Christ bless. We got a great show lined up, but first there's a lot going on. Tech team, let's get it. Texas floods leave at least 51 dead, 27 girls missing as rescuers search devastated landscape. Scroll up just a little bit to show. Look at all that carnage. Look at that damage. That water came out of nowhere. Pray for our people out in Texas. All right, Senate votes to move ahead with Trump's request for $9 billion in spending cuts. I guess y'all, hey, Esau is mad. They big red mad. Next article. Hernia after wearing tight pants. Better read Deuteronomy 22 and 5 for all you sisters out there that say, I got to wear my pants. Yeah, keep wearing them. The Lord will get you. Put on a dress. Israel bombs Syria. Slide over. Drew's majority city of Suwanda hours after ceasefire. Where they get these bombs from? They told them stop bombing. They keep bombing. Next article. Roughly 6 in 10 Americans oppose Trump's mega bill. CNN poll 5. Look at it. Scroll up. Look at it. This is going to be great. It's going to be great. Yep, going to be great. Next article, please. All right. This concludes the Watchman Report.
You are now live.
We the sons of God, we don't back down. I'll take it to your face, I tell you right now.
The least of the flock, the worst of the heathen. You see, we got Trump and Netanyahu, we got the eagle, and we got the lion right there. If you've been paying attention to what's going on in the news with Israel and Iran, and how Netanyahu is trying to draw America into this war, all right?
Also, right, when you look at, can you hear it? You hear? Okay, good. When you look at the, when you go into Genesis, Genesis and Deuteronomy, it talks about Judah, and throughout the scriptures, Judah being a lion, right? Esau and the Amalekites, the Edomite Jewish Israeli Zionists are no lions. They're not lions. The real lions are the American black men who has been put through hell and back in this country and have been standing in oppression in the face of oppression. We the real lions.
That's
so
right.
that is just an embarrassment. And that's a lion with an abysmal and an idolatrous symbol. The same thing that's on their flag, which has nothing to do with the 12 tribes of Israel at all. This is why it amazes us that these other Israelite camps have not grown in their understanding about that star there, which has nothing to do with us. Okay, it's other God. Now, let's get into tonight. The least of the flock, the least of the flock, which is the flock of Esau, right? They are the worst of the heathen, meaning that section of Esau is the worst. And we're going to get into it tonight. Start with the first one. This guy, do me a favor. I want you to Google the word Jeffrey Halper, Halper, because there's nothing better than when an Israeli Jewish man says something about Jewish people, because then he can't be anti-Semitic, right? So before we get into Jeffrey, his video, we'll rock that. That's fine. The problem with Wikipedia is they can change this. But we're going to read this. I just seen Zadiah back there. All praises. Officer Zadiah, could you please read that?
Yes, sir. Wikipedia, Jeff Halper. Jeff Halper is an Israeli-American anthropologist, author, lecturer, and political activist who has lived in Israel since 1973. He is the director of the Israeli Committee Against House Demolition.
So if in order to become the director of the Israeli Committee, don't you think that the other Israelis have to have a lot of confidence in him to vote him in? Mm-hmm. So if I'm a director of an Israeli organization, I have the support of those people around. So everything he's about to say, he's not anti-Semitic. This is clearly a Caucasian Jewish man, lived in Israel a good part of his life. Okay, so let's click on the Israeli Committee Against House Demolitions.
The Israeli Committee Against House Demolitions, the ICAHD, is a group opposed to Israeli settlements, which describes itself as an Israeli peace and human rights organization dedicated to the ending of the occupation of the Palestinian terrorists and achieving a just peace between...
occupation of the Palestinian territories. It's kind of hard way back there. Territories.
Yes, sir, territories. And achieving a just peace between Israelis and Palestinians.
So this is the point I want everyone at home to understand, right? Not that doesn't make it right. Doesn't make them now they get a pass. there are segments of Jewish people who are Caucasian who do not agree with other Jewish Israeli Zionists that are trying to say that that's their land, which everybody in the world knows is not their land. Everybody knows that. So, go back, and I want to read a little bit more about the guy. Okay. So 1946. That means he's 79 years old. He's 79 years old, right? He was born in 46 rather, excuse me. 79 years old. Go where it says Helper has written several books.
Helper has written several books on the Israel-Palestinian conflict.
If you're an author, a published author of the Israeli, I'm building suspense for a reason. If I'm an author of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, that means I know everything. I know about the Balfour Declaration in 1917. I know about the illegal Israeli occupation of the land of Palestine in 1948 and the subsequent wars after thereof. He wrote not a book, but like Bishop Yahweh said, books. He wrote books, right. Plural. Read it again.
Helper has written several books on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and is a frequent writer and speaker about Israeli politics.
So if I'm a frequent speaker, people pay me. People don't speak publicly for free. I'll just come over and I'll fly to your country. No, he gets paid to speak. Why? Because when you are an expert on this matter and write books, they invite you and pay you a handsome fee to speak on the matter. So go down to 1997, and then I'm going to get to the video.
In 1997, Helper co-founded the ICHHD to challenge and resist the Israeli policy on demolishing Palestinian homes.
So right now, this was 97, so approximately 28 years ago, he formed an organization called the ICAHD, meaning there were white folks that were against what they're doing now to Gaza. Now, do me a favor, Google demolition of Gaza 2025. So back then, 28 years ago, they set up an organization to stop what's going on now. There's a division amongst Esau, even in the least of the flock, is my point. Pull up, there's pictures, look at that. Damn. So 28 years ago, this Caucasian Jewish man formed an organization who wrote books about this, saying that this is what we got to avoid. Okay, so now you can see the rubble. I'm going to get to the point. Very good, very good, very good. Click the one all the way up the far right top. Let's look at this one, right? If you can, I know I kind of threw it at you kind of fast. Open, there you go. There you go, okay. Nothing like on-the-job training. The guy can't type to save his life. Great job. And he picked a blurry picture. That was once a city where people frequently lived, shopped on those streets less than 2 years ago. Showing you, why would Caucasian Jewish people have to create an organization to combat other Jewish people? That's what they did it for. Now, go back to the video. Esau is, go back to the thumbnail. There is no heathen worse than Esau. And there is no part of Esau worse than the Israeli Caucasian. There is none. They are the arm behind Babylon. They control the affairs in Babylon the Great. Yeah, show the thumbnail to the people. As they see that? The least of the flock, that is, get me Jeremiah 51, I think, Thomas. You know where it's at. The least of the flock is today, modern day Israel, a.k.a. Assyria of the past, a.k.a. the Israeli Jewish Zionist. The worst of the heathen are Esau. The least of the flock, worst of the heathen. That's talking about this man, okay? Read that, please. And then we're going to start the show. I got to just build this.
Which verse?
Jeremiah, it says, the least of the flock shall draw them out. Wherever it is. We do it probably 3 times a month we go over it. I'll find it.
You can get 49 to 20 for now. 50, 45.
I got it. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 45.
The name of the show is the least of the flock. So I don't think it's unreasonable that I call that scripture. Read.
Therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord,
Read.
that he had taken against Babylon
Against Babylon. Read on.
and his purposes.
So it proves to you the Babylon is not talking about, yes, you could say it's ancient Babylon, but this Babylon is Babylon the Great. Now watch, so least of the flock is not Babylon the Great, but they are in conjunction. They work together. Read on.
That he had purposed against the land of the Chaldeans.
Okay, read on.
Surely the least of the flock shall draw them
What
out.
does that prove? That Babylon the Great and this least of the flock are with the same, they are together as one. Read on.
Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them.
Okay.
At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved,
Right, that's Third World War. Read on.
and the cry is heard among the nations.
Okay, now all that suspense built up, like Captain Shim, get to the point. Cool, let's get to the point. Play this video. Remember Jeff Halper, Israeli anthropologist, wrote books in the thing. So what he's saying, he's not an anti-Semite. He's a Jewish white man. How could this good Jewish white man be against Israel? Let's see what he has to say. It's short.
Zionism was we're not Jewish. We're Hebrew, we're Israelis. Jews are something else. Most Jews never went to Israel. You can't make Israel representative of Jews, and you can't hold Jews accountable for what Israel does. So I really think we're playing into what Israel calls the new anti-Semitism. That was invented by the Israeli government that says any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitism. I think we have to negate that, and therefore I just wanted to say here that I was a little uncomfortable with the idea that somehow criticism of Israel has anything to do really with anti-Semitism.
So there is the white man who is a scholar and Jewish saying that the modern day form of anti-Semitism is criticism of the modern day Zionist Israeli government. That's what he's saying. So, next video, we love this. I love this guy. This guy's pretty sharp. He's an Iranian guy. He breaks down pretty good interviews. Watch what he has. It's the same breezy politics. He is going to interview someone else.
Not at all trust, even though you have to work with them. Israelis. You didn't trust them.
Let me just set it up. Okay. This guy in the light blue polo shirt is a former CIA top guy. He's being interviewed by Patrick about the Mossad. The Mossad is the Israeli version of their CIA. It's their Israeli Central Intelligence. So watch what this is what I'm telling you. Watch what the CIA guy says about Israeli, Jewish, Zionist, Mossad, their version of the CIA. Watch what this guy says. And you can Google this guy if you want to. Read.
As I could throw them. We don't allow
Start from
the
the beginning.
Who did you not at all trust, even though you have to work with them?
Israelis.
You didn't trust them.
Not as far as I could throw them. We don't allow the Israelis into CIA headquarters because they would always come with gifts, and the gifts had always listening devices packed inside them. And you know, if somebody brings you a gift, you x-ray it. It's the normal process. And we're like, you guys can't keep coming back here every single time trying to bug our conference rooms. So no more.
What percentage of the time did gifts have bugs in them?
100%.
Be quiet.
No, seriously.
Are you kidding me?
Absolutely not. I wish I was.
100% of the time they brought gifts that had bugs in them.
Yeah. We had a safe house in Virginia.
So pause.
and-
Here's the whole point of bringing this out. Everybody knows that AIPAC and the Jewish lobby controls government at all levels. So how is it that America, Make America Great Again, the whole base that put in a landslide Republican victory, right? At all, when you saw the map, it was red everywhere. How could those people that voted Trump in, and now all of a sudden Trump is in wars, he's expanding weapons to the Ukraine, he's just bombed their nuclear facilities in Iran. How could this actually happen? It's because God is pushing it to the very, very limit. He has to make it a huge showing of this. So when you see the CIA guys say, yeah, we can't stand Israelis, we don't trust them as far, there is distrust against the Mossad. how is Netanyahu and the Israeli government able to sway that little small country, the most powerful military in the world, to do their bidding? I'm telling you, God is behind this thing. So we're going to finish this play out, and then the brothers got to please jump in and say something. Play.
Meet with him there.
But John, was that across the board with everybody that didn't trust him the most?
Oh, yeah.
What percentage of our guys you work with didn't trust Mossad?
100%. I'll give you another example.
Okay, give me one you trusted the most.
The Brits. I worked very, very closely with the Brits.
Why were they easier to work with?
Because our national interests are so closely aligned.
So, Cap, to your point, this same guy was on a different interview. I think it was Julian Dorsey. He went down and said on his podcast, he said that the Israelis have at least 200 agents in America spying on American agents.
Can you get that? What Officer Thomas just said?
It's on Julian Dorsey's podcast.
Pull up Julian Dorsey. See if you can get a short from it. Let's come back to that, because there's evidence throughout social media that the Jewish, as a matter of fact, while you get that for Thomas, pull up APEC, right? The acronym, which is the, right? And I want to show you how powerful this four-letter acronym organization is. They basically run all branches of the U.S. government. I'm sorry, 5 letters. Thank you. So let's think about this, right? Let's change the word. Let's put, instead of Israel, let's put kind of a peculiar another country in there. Let's just put Pakistan. What if that said APPAC, the American Pakistani Public Affairs Committee? If they controlled and sent money to all the congressmen and paid for all these trips and everything, Americans would be united. I'm talking about white Americans would be united and raise the national outcry. But because the Israeli Jewish is aligned with the Christian, so-called Christian church, and they see them as protecting Israel of the Bible and their Christian faith, this is why they're allowing them to do this. But there's a lot of MAGA people, Make America Great. They're like, enough's enough. They should, anyone that's aligned with the Israeli government should be, you can't have dual citizenship. You can't have any alignment with them. All right? All right. So please, you got to say something.
So the interest between Israel and America, and really Britain as well, goes all the way back to their establishment in the land, because those are the countries that established them in the land. The tactics that the Israelis use are the exact same tactics that America used on the people here. They talk about the occupation of Palestine since 1948. What about the people here in America? Over 300 years they've been occupied. These people never went home. They established their government, their ways, and if you go against them, basically you will be not anti-Semitism, but anti-American, and you'll get shipped out of the country currently. That's what they're doing. So it's no difference between the two, and that's why they back them. It's all about taking territory and land, and that's what happened here in the Americas. That's what's happening over there. It's no more than apartheid. It's no more than colonialism.
Do me a favor. Obviously, I said something that sparked. Pull up the thumbnail. That's a very heavy point. If you think about it, right? If Israel in the Bible is called the least of the flock, where does the flock learn from? So if they're the least of the flock, where'd they learn what you just said is perfect. They learned that from Britain. Excuse me. They learned it from America. Where did America learn it from? From Great Britain. Yes. And they beefed with each other. It's called the War of Independence in 1776. They fought against each other. Then they fought again in 1812. It is perfect analogy. The flock of Esau has always known war. Matter of fact, get me in Genesis, and thou shalt
Live by the sword.
It talks about Cain. Is it Cain where it says thou shalt live by the sword? Because
Esau.
Esau, yes. So the flock of what Yasa mentioned is that the warfare that they have, the so-called Caucasian men, whether it be Israel, whether it be American, early colonist America, whether it be Great Britain, they've learned the art of war. And even you can go back before that to the ancient Greeks. It's the same thing. Okay. Read that.
The book of Genesis, chapter 27, verse 39.
Thank you.
And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth.
Right. The fatness means that ain't talking about like Captain Severus being fat. That's talking about like all the good things of the earth. Right. Read on.
And of the dew of heaven from above.
Right. Come on.
And by thy sword.
By what?
And by thy sword.
Read on.
Shalt thou live.
Right. And that's what Officer Yasser is talking about. Where did the least of the flock learn their tactics? They learned their tactics from their big brother, Babylon the Great. And Babylon the Great learned it from Great Britain. So I like the way you say it was perfect, the way you lined that up, you know. All right, so we did the 2 videos. Next, I need you to do me a favor. This is a 5-minute clip. There's some heavy information that's dropped in here. When the names come up about these authors, they're famous Jewish anthropologists. I need you to Google them. I need you to Google them. You understand that? And I don't want to have to spell the name. I want you to get him, okay? So this guy, I like this guy. He's not a normal, conventional American Edomite. I believe he's not American, but he is, does a good job of reporting politics throughout the earth. Play this.
The U.S. media has played a key role in whitewashing the horrifying crimes committed by Israel against the Palestinian people in Gaza with the full support of the U.S. government under both Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Yet those crimes have become so blatant and so impossible to deny that slowly the U.S. media...
It was to the point where they could cover, like, for example, the reason why in the 1960s black people got more prompt justice is because they started to show films of it in Europe. And when other white people who were supposed to be civilized, like in France, saw what was going on, other white people put pressure internationally on the U.S. That's what happened. So now here, you can't deny it. We saw a video about, I want to say about a year ago, 8 months, where a father is picking up body parts to his children and piecing them back together. It was a TikTok or some video. You can't, once you see that, you can't turn away from that. So it's to the point now where even Caucasian newspapers and networks, they have to report the truth because eventually it's going to be all brought to light. So now, that being said, he's going to talk about one person that of noteworthy importance. Play on.
Is having to admit what is actually happening. The leading U.S. newspaper, the New York Times, has been one of the leading media outlets spreading nonstop propaganda in support of Israel, denying and whitewashing the crimes it committed against the Palestinian people. And yet, this July, after nearly 2 years of Israel's U.S.-sponsored genocide in Gaza, the New York Times finally published an article admitting that what Israel is doing is indeed a genocide sponsored by the U.S. government.
Stop.
And this was...
Cap. I mean, wasn't Netanyahu already was put in the World National Court for war crimes?
Yes.
It's not like this not already been known already. Right. The thing about it is that, like we've been saying this whole show, America is back in Israel. If this would have been anybody else who did what Netanyahu did, he would have been in jail already. But the simple fact that Trump he already denied Gaza, Netanyahu already denied Gaza aid. He cut their aid completely off. You don't think Trump could stop and say, no, we're going to help these people out, we're going to give them aid? No. He got signs broadcasted saying, we going to make, that's going to be our new, what did he say? He going to put a beachfront out there.
Yes.
He made
gonna put hotels out there. He made mockery of the people.
Like it was a real estate attraction.
So they've been knowing that this is genocide. Right. The simple fact of the matter is that America benefits from what Israel is doing as well. But what the same thing that America is doing in Ukraine, they doing it with Israel. Because Israel is fronting this, but America is benefiting from this too. Don't make it America benefiting.
The military complex is what's benefiting from all those wars from America. When they say that they're giving them money, they're not actually giving them dollars. They're giving them weapons to fight with, and that's keeping the military-industrial complex here in America rolling. It keeps them making more missiles and putting other countries in debt. Unfortunately, Israel does not pay its debt back. We already given them billions of dollars each year, which we don't even owe them nothing for nothing, but it's because of the tie between the United States and the Western world.
And in that same vein, the Americans here, the taxpayers, guess what? We paying for that. All the stuff that they cutting, them big bills that he's coming out with, he's funneling money from America to give to his the least of the flock over there. That's why you're seeing all these big major bills. He's taking this Section 8, this welfare, driving up the price of fuel, all this stuff so he can keep that war going.
Right. Remember the 12-day war that just happened, which was between Israel, which started in Iran. The reason why we brought it out, the reason why the war stopped is, remember, Solomon was here. We had the map. They hit almost the major airports, naval base, Air Force base, Army base, all throughout Israel. They had to stop. They breached their missile defense systems, Iron Dome, thoroughly. And they showed you that, and they didn't want it to get out. They needed to take a break. So that being said, right, there's a name that's going to come up. And this is why Esau, I'm telling you, Esau has to start telling on himself. So watch this guy here. Play.
Article published by an Israeli scholar who served in the Israeli military, the IDF, and he's a world-renowned expert on genocide. He wrote, quote, "My inescapable conclusion has become that Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinian people."
Pause real quick. And this is where we need to rewind a little bit. I want his name. I want every syllable. I want this guy's name, because we're going to Google this guy. We're going to research this guy, because this guy is the epitome of all Jewish scholars when it comes to researching Holocaust-like events. And let's see what this Jewish man says about the modern-day genocide. Is it indeed a genocide? And who better than a Jewish scholar who has roots in the Nazi Germany, who better of authority than to speak on that, right? Because the Israelites, we don't know anything, right? Get his name.
Published by an Israeli scholar who served in the Israeli military, the IDF, and he's a world-renowned expert on genocide.
Pause. So he was an Israeli scholar who served in the IDF, and he's a world-renowned scholar when it comes to genocide. I mean, he wrote books, he studied it. This is very, very, very important. Play on.
He wrote, quote, "My inescapable conclusion has become that Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinian people. Having grown up in a Zionist home, lived the first half of my life in Israel, served in the IDF as a soldier and officer, and spent most of my career researching and writing."
This is what that means for those of you at home. If he was in the Israeli military, the IDF, if he was enlisted, that means he understands what it's like, the blue-collar rank. He also had some schooling because he became an officer, which is different than a commissioned officer. So he understands both the grunt level, the blue-collar, and the white-collar, or the administrative level of military life. So that's very important to know. He knows what happens in the trenches. He knows what happens behind the scenes in mid-level and upper-level management of the Israeli army. I want his name, but they're not giving his name. Read.
That I resisted as long as I could. But I have been teaching classes on genocide for a quarter of a century. I can recognize one when I see one.
So hold up. This guy, for a quarter of a century, for 25 years, he's been teaching classes on genocide. A man who served as an officer and a soldier in the Israeli army. A man that is an expert on matters of genocide. Why? His family served. They went through the Holocaust, which is nothing in comparison to the real Holocaust, which black people went through in the transatlantic slave trade. But that's a whole nother decades worth of shows. Play on. I'm leading up to it.
End quote. Those were the words of
Stop. This man is the epitome of understanding when it comes to genocide. Can we please get some background on this guy real quick? Can Zadiah see that? You know what you could do is you could go to the website that says Brown Department of History and pull that same thing up if you want to. Yeah. See, real quick, this is why it is so important to research this. You're never going to see this on any mainstream news. We're going to show you what this guy said about what the Israeli government, Netanyahu, and the IDF, the Israeli Zionists, are doing to Arabs. What does he say about it? Not what we say, us Israelites who we don't know anything. This is why you get the experts. Yeah.
So my curiosity is he's been doing it for 25 years, right? So he knows what he sees. But how come he couldn't see it so quick? Because they were killing women and children. They didn't have tanks. They don't have the high-tech weaponry. It wasn't really a war. It's just extermination was going on. But he couldn't see it for 2 years because initially he favors the Israelis. Right. But finally he's pushed to the point was just sickening what's going on, and now he's speaking up.
So this guy even says he was fighting it. He didn't want to admit it.
He didn't want to
but because he's a professional and he has to be unbiased.
Right.
So this is why you can't get any more Jewish than this guy. And I love it because he teaches at an Ivy League school about the Holocaust. Okay, now, I don't want you to forget AIPAC. I want that later. Now, let's get our Bishop Yawasop on because this guy, when this guy should be talking on all the news and his words should be condemning this whole thing, but they won't show you this guy. Because then the Israelis can't ignore this guy. Okay? Read.
Omer Bartov. His biography. Born in Israel.
Stop. Was he born in America?
Born in Israel.
The man was born in Israel. Let's start there. Read on.
And educated at Tel Aviv University and St. Anthony's College. Oxford.
Like Bishop said.
Oxford.
So the man, listen, he's born in Israel, an Israeli citizen, went to Tel Aviv University. That's a college in Israel, right? University. He also went to St. Anthony's College, Oxford. Now, this man has got a great upbringing. So, and by the way, he speaks Yiddish. He knows all of that, right? He was born there. Doesn't get any more authentic than this guy. Read on.
Omer Bartov's early research concerned the Nazi indoctrination of the Wehrmacht and the crimes it committed in World War II.
So remember, in World War II, that's what they had, the concentration camps. They called them the gas chambers. There's a lot of discrepancies around that. But we do know that they did kill some of the Jewish people. We do know that, right? And this, he studied that. World War II was from 1941 to 1945. He studied this extensively. Why? Because his family went through it. So it was very personal to him. So he's an expert about genocide because they said that they killed all the Jewish people was an act of genocide. So, okay, let's get on with it. No, we got to understand that this man is supposed, if anybody, he's as Jewish as they get, who's super educated, who served in the IDF as a enlisted and an officer. If any man understands at the college level and the foot troops with the trenches, he understands the plight of the Israeli Jewish men. He knows it all. He's walked in all these shoes. Okay, he had all these hats that he wore, and he was in the college class teaching. Now play on, read on.
Analyzed in his books, The Eastern Front from 1941 to 1945, and Hitler's Army, He then turned to the links between
So
total.
he studied Adolf Hitler. Why? Because in order to stand a genocide, you got to understand a genocidal maniac like Adolf Hitler. So, interesting. Adolf Hitler, Netanyahu. Remember those two terms. Holocaust 1945, Holocaust or Arab cost, Palestinian cost in 2024-25. Read on.
He then turned to the links between total war and genocide, discussed in his books, Murder in Our Midst, Mirrors of Destruction, and Germany's War and the Holocaust. And Berthoff's interest in representation
I'm
also
sorry, do me a
led-
favor. In the interest of time, Zadok, go down where it says recent. So recent. So he didn't write books in the 1970s and 80s. Recently, he has works recently in, post 2000. He didn't stop writing in 82 and said, I'm going to hang it up, Chuck. No, he kept writing recently. Read.
His more recent work has focused in
Interethnic.
interethnic relations in the borderlands of Eastern Europe.
Okay.
Recent publications include Erase Vanishing Traces of Jewish Galatia in Present-Day Ukraine
Interesting.
in 2007, Anatomy of a Genocide, The Life and Death of a Town Called Bukatz in 2018, winner of the National Jewish Book Award, and Tales from the Borderlands, Making the Unmaking the Galatian Past in 2022.
Now, so all that he wrote about Eastern Europe, now let's scroll down where it says the die after the colon. It says 3 accounts of world wars in Galatia, right there.
Up a little bit, right there.
There you go.
3 counts of the world wars in Galatian town in 2020.
So in 5 years ago, he was writing about the 3 accounts of the world wars in Galatia town. Okay, great. Let's look at the next statement.
In Israel, Palestine, lands and peoples in
So
2021.
this guy wrote books about Germany, Nazi Germany, but as recent as 4 years ago, he wrote books about Israel-Palestine relations. Interesting. Read on.
All right. Berthoff's novel, The Butterfly and the Axe, will be published in 2023.
Here's the point. He's a modern-day recent author. He's an expert. He wrote the Israeli and the Palestinian. Now, let's go back, because when anybody says to you about anti-Semitism and you're we can just quote guys like this and say, according to this guy, oh, I'm not saying it. It's a Jewish scholar who served in the IDF as an officer and enlisted, who wrote books on this, who is an expert in genocide and teaches it and gets paid to speak. He's the one who said that about the Jewish Zionist Israeli government. That's what you got to understand. Mossad is using certain people to show how they are, and they can't ignore it. Now, all that big lead up, let's play.
An Israeli scholar born and educated in Israel, and today he is a professor of Holocaust and Genocide Studies at Brown University, an elite...
I'm sorry. Brown University is in the state of Rhode Island. It is one of the elite colleges in the Northeast. So he is a professor at Brown University. Let's scroll, read it back. I know, we're going to go to FCIs after this. Let's just scroll it back. Let's get all the nuances of this great Jewish man's Holocaust education, get his history, soak it all in. Great play.
I can recognize one when I see one, end quote. Those were the words of Omer Bartov, who is an Israeli scholar born and educated in Israel, and today he is a professor of Holocaust and Genocide Studies at Brown University, an elite Ivy League school in the U.S.
So, and that's in Rhode Island, an Ivy League school. Ivy League is like a cut above. So in order to become a professor at an Ivy League school, you got to be the top in your field. So the top in the field who is educated in Israel is saying, we're going to get up to it, about what's going on in Palestine, about his so-called kinsmen, the Jewish Israeli Zionists, what he says about them. Yes, play.
This article that he wrote in the New York Times, he explained how he came to this inescapable conclusion that Israel is carrying out a
meaning
U.S.
I want to escape it. I don't want to box Netanyahu and say he's a terrorist like Adolf Hitler, but it's inescapable. This is what I'm showing you. Like the white man has so much power, it's ridiculous. God is allowing this man in this little teeny country that's our land. He's allowing them. It's like you got this big giant Clydesdale, right? That's Babylon the Great. And Netanyahu controls the bit in the horse's mouth. And he controls it wherever he goes. Wherever he wants it to go, he moved Babylon. Only God could make that happen. You got billions of Arabs that are afraid of 6 million so-called Edomite Jews. If that ain't God, then I don't know what the hell is. Why don't they all topple them? If they really wanted to come together, they could destroy them. God is holding everything back. God is allowing everything to go down. Even with a guy like this who's a genocide scholar who says, listen, it's inescapable. Why don't they take his findings as and bring it to the ICCG, the International Court, and prosecute this guy? They have all the evidence because they can't. Play on.
That when Palestinians attacked the Israeli colonial regime in October of 2023, after Israel had carried out an illegal criminal blockade of Gaza for more than a decade, and of course all of that context has been erased, but when Palestinians attacked the Israeli occupiers in October 2023, this scholar, Omer Bartov, initially said that it was not a genocide, although he acknowledged that Israel carried out war crimes and potentially crimes against humanity. However, he acknowledged that as Israel continued to carry out this genocide after October 2023, he noted that in May 2024, the IDF ethnically cleansed 1 million Palestinians who were sheltered in Rafah in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. And then the Israeli regime completely destroyed Rafah. And he wrote, quote, "At that point, it appeared no longer possible to deny that the pattern of IDF operations was consistent with the statements denoting genocidal intent made by Israeli leaders in the days after the Palestinian attack in October of 2023. Going on in this article, this Israeli scholar noted that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu urged Israelis to remember Amalek, which is a reference
we've covered this before. He's talking about us, the real Israelites, what we did to them. And he's referencing like Amalek. Hey, the Arabs, the Palestinians, they're like Amalek. Remember them. We got to kill them all. Watch what he's referencing. That was our forefathers. That's how I'll show you how far we fell. Now you got Negroes with long nails and yellow hair in the ghetto with smack in their arms. Those were the people that was going against Amalek. Those were the people that were King Saul. Okay, all of the righteous men and women of the Bible. We now is in Detroit on corners. That shows you the power of God. They're not the real Jews. We're the real Jews, but they take our history, they take everything about us, and they're trying to flip it. So he's taking this quote, which is our history found in the Bible, and assigning it to his people. Okay? So bring it out, please.
And he was stating that the Arabs were Amalek. Yeah. And
that's what he's inferring.
Of course, that's incorrect because they come from Ishmael, and but they're using it to their advantage, and that's why them controlling the narrative is bad. But one thing about anti-Semitism, what it really stands for today is you can't hold me accountable for anything because I say I'm the chosen people. That's what it stands for.
That's right. And if they're, like obviously I said this earlier, I think Michael also mentioned, is you killed thousands in the first several months of the war, you killed thousands of women and children, right? And you bomb hospitals, right? And then you remember they sent the reporter in the hospital and the Palestinian doctor said, what are you doing here? He said, what's behind here? He said, this is an operating room. I've got patients. and they gave them less enough time. They didn't even get enough time to get them out. The infant ward where the children, what are they called? Where the babies are at.
Pediatrics.
They didn't. The pediatrics. They didn't give them time to get out. People in operations, and they bombed hospitals. They didn't give them time to get out because they thought that not the Taliban, the Hamas was underneath the hospitals. And now when you look at Gaza, they bombed everything. Okay, so they're justifying. They got to kill everything, women, children, everything, because they, in their mind, want the world to believe that they are the Israelites, which they don't even use the word Israelites.
And that's hypocrisy, Cap, because remember when we was coming out of Egypt, the Lord told us not to touch certain lands. He said, pass through certain lands. I gave this portion to them, I gave that portion to them. But for them to quote this scripture and not to follow the other scriptures, let me just real quick, just to show you, give me Deuteronomy chapter 27, verse 17. Yes, sir. To show you the hypocrisy of what he's talking about. Because if you're gonna follow that means you gotta follow everything. Read this real quick.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 27, verse 17. Cursed be he that removeth his neighbor's landmark.
Read.
And all the people shall say, Amen.
You see that? God said, cursed be him that removes his neighbor's landmark. So if God gave a land to a certain people, who are you to say that's not their land? I'm going to take it. It's all throughout the Bible. Give me Proverbs chapter 22, verse 28. We'll show you that what he's doing is a war crime, because even the Lord gave everybody their own land. He gave Moab their own plot of land. He gave Ishmael their own plot of land, and it's not for us to take it. Read that.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 28. Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set.
Because God gave everybody their own land. And even when we took the land, it was because God himself told us to take it. And the Lord ain't dealing with him. He ain't got no prophets to show him nothing.
Esau didn't get none.
He don't have no inheritance.
So he's trying to take everybody else's.
So this is what the hypocrisy of Netanyahu. Matter of fact, give me Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 15. Zechariah chapter 1, verse 15. Because right now, they had to do the ceasefire because Iran really was really winning that war. And without the help of America, Israel wouldn't be who they are. They need the support of America. And guess what? Russia is going to back up Iran, and China is going to back up Iran. Those two superpowers behind Iran, they're going to help them. But read the scripture real quick.
Zechariah chapter 1, verse 15. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease.
Start at verse 14.
Verse 14. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, Cry thou, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy.
Jerusalem is a people first. That's who we are. That's who we are, Jerusalem and Zion. God said he is jealous for Jerusalem and Zion. Read on.
And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease.
Because these people are at ease. They doing whatever they want to do. They own America's government. They own the social media. They own every despicable and wicked thing that's in America. The Israelis, so-called Jews, they own it. Read it again. It said what?
And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease.
Read. Because God gave the earth into the hand of the wicked. This is the border of wicked. That's who they are. Read.
For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction.
So God used the white man as a sword to put us into captivity, but they went overboard. They took it further than what they were supposed to do, and that's what they're doing now. Anything that they do, they heartless and they kill and they murder, and that's why they won't get no repentance. That's why they don't have no inheritance. That's why God says they're going to be destroyed. All right.
All praise. Excellent scriptures. So look, y'all, we went over time a little bit. We are going to take our break and to go with our very own Officer Yasser. He's going to give us Officer Yasser's book review. Stick around, y'all.
I got the power. Come on. And the whole world in my hand. You don't want none of this. Power. My hand is warm. I got the power. Come on. And the whole world in my hand. You don't want none of this.
Shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ. Bless Officer Yasser here with the book review. We're going to go back into the book White Rage, which we have been previewing previously. We want to start out with the image of the book, number 1. That's the book, The Unspoken Truth of Racial Divide here in America. Some people deny it. They say America is, there's no such thing as racial division or racism in America. Let's go to the number 2. There we go. Start with, this was a battle.
This was a battle, as the SCLC noted, to redeem the soul of America.
So this is during Martin Luther King's time. They were trying to redeem the soul of America. You would have to have a soul to be redeemed. That would be the key to that. Let's keep going.
It was obvious that a series of congressionally neutered civil rights acts, one in 1957 and another in 1960, was so effectual that the conditions of the mass disenfranchisement and overt discrimination remained virtually untouched.
Now what you're going to see is here in America, whenever the so-called minorities, the blacks, the Latinos, the Indians, make progress, this incites the masses of white people. You can't say it no other way. It makes a lot of them get angry that we make advances. You hear it about football players, basketball singers, all of this, you know, as if things were given to them, right? Come on.
African American and their white allies would, therefore, put their bodies on the line to shake the American public and the U.S. government out of a fog of moral and legal lethargy.
So they were just not doing anything to make the situation better. So people gave up their lives to try to make this situation better. Come on.
Thus, a triple murder of civil rights workers in Mississippi led eventually to the Civil Rights Act in 1964, and the killing in Selma and the horrific spectacle of Bloody Sunday, where nonviolent protesters were tear-gassed, whipped, and trampled by horse-bound troopers, resulted in the Voting Rights Act and the VRA in 1965.
So now you see what the cost was, and they really just saying the trampling and the murders, that was the least of stuff, but they try to whittle down the conversation to a few little things to make like that's all that's happening. The reason those things happened because of all the other atrocities were taking place. People were being killed at random, taken out, hung at random, and so it boiled down to the 1965 Voting Rights. Now let's start on the next part to show you that what's happening then is happening again today. Skip down to the next color section. Where is that on next page? Yeah, that one.
Brown decision, the latest round of African American advances, set the gears of white opposition in motion.
Skip to the next slide part.
Yes, sir.
Color part.
Given the power of this iconic movement, the descent into the new Jim Crow should have been virtually impossible. But by the 1968 presidential election, white opposition had once more consolidated into an effective force.
Okay, so it's coalesced. And then this
Coalesced.
is important because this coalescing of the masses of white people against the advancement of other people who work very hard to get what they get, give up their lives, give up way too much. And they see this, and then what they do is they coalesced just like they did and brought Trump in. It's the exact same thing. That's why masses of white people went, because they did not like the advancement that black people were making. They were making statements like you were getting free education, you were getting free checks, you were getting free this and that, when in fact, the majority of the people who get those things are white people. We even seen it right here in New Orleans, where the mayor once tried to get a free education for one of his nieces, and they came to him, he had to give that up. But every white mayor before him was able to do that. Let's go back to it.
Both the Nixon and Reagan administrations, with the support of the Berger and Rehnquist Supreme Courts.
Now, this is the part I'm getting to right here. This is because those are justices on the Supreme Court. And what Reagan and Nixon did was use the Supreme Court to start overturning civil rights. And if we go back to the first page, you'll see on there that's the chapter that we actually under, the overturning of civil rights. And so what they're doing now is they're using the Supreme Court, which they got the advantage on the Supreme Court. So it's not really a justice court. It depends on who have the most people in their particular conservative, Republican, or Democrat. Then they can rule the Supreme Court, and you get their side of the story, which is, and conservatives is mostly oppression of our people. Come on back.
Supreme Courts executed two significant tasks to crush the promise embedded in the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The first was to redefine what the movement was really about. With centuries of oppression and brutality suddenly reduced to the harmless symbolism of a bus seat and a water fountain.
So that's what they show you today. When they talk about racism of old, they show you that Rosa Parks was on the bus seat. She didn't want to sit at the back of the bus. She wanted to sit in front of the bus. But that's not what it was about. Nor was it about drinking at the water fountain. Just like it was with the Black Lives Movement, the actual movement was to stop having young black men and black children shot in their back, killed without any reason. That's what the movement was really supposed to be about. But they redefined the movement. We mentioned that earlier in the program. They redefined things to the way that they want it to be brought out in the public. They control the media. Let's go.
Thus, when the colored-only signs went down, inequality had supposedly disappeared. By 1965, Richard Nixon asserted almost every legislative roadblock to equality for opportunity for education, jobs, and voting had been removed. Also magically removed by this interpretation were up to the $24 trillion in multi-generational devastation that African Americans have suffered in lost wages, stolen land, educational impoverishment, and housing inequalities.
So we go to redlining, all the things they did, which nobody denies these things happen. Redlining, you were only able to buy houses in certain areas. You paid more for your house than the rich paid for their housing. Educational, you had the worst of schools, and still the so-called black people and Hispanic peoples in this country were making advancement. And this is what angers the masses of white people. They look at you and say, look, you must be given something because you're doing well. And this is a sad state of affairs. How much more we got on that? Come on.
All of that vanished as if it had never happened, or as Patrick Buchanan, advisor to Richard Nixon and the presidential candidate himself, would explain decades later. America has been the best country on earth for black folks. It was here that 600,000 black people brought from African slave ships grew into a community of 40 million, were introduced to Christian salvation, and reached the greatest levels of freedom and prosperity blacks have ever known.
Well, that's just not true at all, because we were in all the civilizations previously. We were in Babylonian, we were in the Assyrian captivities. So, and then we were in the west coast of Africa. We enjoyed Timbuktu, where all of the people came to get education from. So, but this is a narrative that they like to push. We were brought up running in the jungle in our underwear with spears. You know, farthest thing from the truth. The people they brought over here used to be scientists, doctors, lawyers, and they enslaved them. They weren't slaves. They enslaved people who were free, educated, and doing well. And they were taken advantage of by bringing them over here and enslaving them. So I think that's it for the book review tonight. We're going to try to pick it up. Oh, we got two? Oh, I forgot my two scriptures. So I want to bring out John 3:16 because this is what this so-called Christian nation is supposed to believe in. Let's get that.
The book of John, chapter 3, verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life.
So this is the scripture that's pushed on us all the time. You know, God loves everybody. And however, that's not what we see in this country. As we see currently, this country does not like the so-called Latins or people from Latin America. They're expelling them, claiming that, you know, they entered the land illegally, not mentioning that previously they were here and were forced out, forcibly out of their own lands. Let's go to the last scripture, Psalms 83:2. And this is what's occurring over and over again, and what you're seeing what's happening with Donald Trump today.
The
Psalms
book of
83:2.
Yes, sir. The book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
So they make an agreement. Our enemies make an agreement against us. They having counsels against us to do us harm all the time, you know, trying to mess with Social Security, other programs that they say are entitlements. Come on.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
So those who hate us have lifted up. They are doing what they did previously. They're coming at us because they hate us. It's not because something we doing. It's nothing we doing to make them hate us. They certainly can't say that we are more violent or nobody, because they've killed 65 million in World War II and about 60 million in World War I. We can't come anywhere near those numbers. So with that, that's the conclusion of the book review. And Most High in Christ bless.
I got the power. Come on. And the whole world in my hand. You want this?
Hey, Shalom Israel. Most High in Christ bless. Why do you subscribe? IUIC New Orleans, subscribe. Go to our YouTube page. Help us to grow. Comment, like, share. What's going on? Make it happen.
Nation time. Two step, drag, left, right, pick them up and set them down.
Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ bless. This is Captain Shem here, IUIC New Orleans at the 2025 Essence Fest. We came out here, we showed out. We came in marching together, stepping together, one mind, one spirit, okay? Singing songs of repentance.
But we know she with him only for money. Right. That's it. It ain't for nothing but money. It's survival. Christ did come to save sinners. But he didn't come to save everybody. Christ don't care about everybody. They invented the damn light bulb. The white man invented the electric bill.
And it's not yours, because you still a slave.
Okay, cool. So now what's your point?
We went out, set up multiple camps, and we had some fire teaching, okay? Casting down this imagination of the 4th of July as us being free. All praise to the Lord. 12 tribes worldwide.
Man, I'm about my father been
business. I'm really one of the realest. The hell with your opinion, Matt 18. If you offended, you yellow canary lizard. You think you gon' stop the mission? You'll never tarnish the image. This purple ain't got no limits.
Shalom, shalom, Most High Christ bless. Hey, look, it's Captain Hoshine. We're in New Orleans, but the Exit Festival is about to go down once again, man. Of course, you know we got the arm of the living God here. We pray and hope that our people repent, keep the commandments of the Most High, and return back to the covenant that you made with God. Then we're going to say shalom.
So greener fringes, gold on purple seams. You wanna catch me over, see the Lord.
Auntie was there when you left. You're right. That's the reason you left. You're right. The streets was there when you left. You're right. That gang was there when you left. You're right.
Avec quoi ça, ils vont te faire une image blanche ça. Sous quoi là, ils même sont mentis. On met les fidèles, on met les fidèles. On met les fidèles parce qu'ils sont mentis.
Captain Get a Light. Right now we're in Fayetteville, North Carolina. We got the mighty Captain Severus and many other brothers, Levi brothers that speak Creole. And we out here edifying our people. As you know, there's a lot of deportation going on right now of the so-called Haitians, which is the tribe of Levi according to the Bible. So we come out here to gather our people, teaching the truth according to the Bible. Had a young man here, Captain Severus was just teaching. He got rid of the false image of Christ. He got rid of these idolatrous cross. All praises to the Most High. Jesus Christ, a black man according to the Bible, or as they say in Creole, Jay-Z Christ, say Noah.
Hey, shalom, shalom. Welcome to the second half of the show. The least of the flock, the worst of the heathen. Let's get into the worst of the heathen. Pull up where it says Einstein and Israeli control over U.S. It's a timestamp from 1007 to 1611. Okay, this is going to go into, there's a man, type in the word Jeffrey Einstein. Did I say that right? Epstein. Right. Same thing. But no, it's not. But I don't care. Pull up that guy because he died several years ago, and he was. They say that he was aligned with the Israeli government to spy on the U.S., but really, he was a pedophile. He's a convicted pedophile, and he was friends with Donald Trump.
And
Interesting.
Donald Trump don't want you talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
He don't because and we're not saying Trump's. Hey, you might get sued. We're not saying Trump is I don't believe that. I believe Trump had fun with women in a way that's Esau does. This is his kingdom. But I believe Trump. I don't believe he's a pedophile at all. This guy was a convicted pedophile. So there's Epstein. Pull up his bio. He actually died, I think, in 2019.
By suicide.
Okay. Let's read a little bit about Jeffrey Einstein. Wikipedia is one thing. Just research it for yourself. We're going to tell you a little bit about this guy.
Jeffrey Edward Epstein, January 20, 1953 through August 10, 2019, was an American financier.
Stop. Esau the devil. Hold this. Pull up the video with the Young Turks. This Young Turk guy goes deep. This guy didn't even graduate college. Showing you if you're Edomite, you get connections, you get jobs at major firms. This is their world. I'm telling you, this Esau takes care of it. This guy right here is, I don't agree with everything he says, but he digs a lot of dirt up on Esau, okay? From the Young Turks, okay? Play.
Amazing facts about Jeffrey Epstein. So, he was a math teacher. What? I thought he was a famous financier. No. Did you know he didn't finish college at all? He got hired for that math job anyway. Why? Because he got hired by the father of former Attorney General Bill Barr. What? Then he gets picked out of obscurity after he gets fired from that job, and he becomes a finance guy at Bear Stearns. Then he gets picked out from there by the head of a giant company, including Victoria's Secrets. That guy's an enormous AIPAC supporter.
Now, remember I said before the break, pull up AIPAC. AIPAC controls and lobbies in the government. And this is why I think Epstein is the scapegoat. I think he did a lot of perverted stuff. I think he was a womanizer and all that. But it unleashes the layers of how much the Israeli government infiltrated the U.S. government. Remember we showed you before, y'all, if y'all been paying attention, the CIA, a former CIA member said, the ones we don't trust, we trust the least out of everyone that we work with, their organizations, was the Mossad. That's what he said. He says we all didn't trust him. Okay? Read that.
AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, is a pro-Israel lobbying group in the United States.
Wait a minute. Again, substitute the word pro-Israel lobbying group. What is a lobbying group? A lobby is when you try to sway for political influence, right? Substitute that word with, let's say, I don't know, the Liberian. Can you imagine if there was a section of Liberia where they had all these money guys and they were influencing Congress and the House of Representatives? Or let's say, for example, Afghanistan. Because it's a country that is assigned with the so-called Jews, right? They have the Christian base backs them up. Hence the support for Israel unyielding despite the genocide, which the guy before, the professor of expert in genocide affairs, said that Israel's committing genocide, but these Christians still support it in 2025. Read on.
It works to strengthen the relationship between the U.S. and Israel by influencing policy decisions of the U.S. government.
So you have a foreign national government called Israel influencing and making decisions in the U.S. government. They're telling you that they do that. Okay, read on.
AIPAC focuses on a range of issues, including security assistance to Israel.
Obviously, Yasser brought that out. Billions upon billions upon billions of dollars annually go, and it doesn't have to be paid back. It doesn't have to be. Ukraine's getting its ass whooped, and we got to get the minerals. You need to pay us back. We need the mineral rights. We have to get the minerals. But yet Israel gets an unchecked, unregulated checkbook with nothing to pay back. So who's really in control of the United States government? Okay. Now, let's go all the way back and pull up the, yes, finish that, please.
Lobby that helps Israel here in America. And he says to Jeffrey Epstein, hey, why don't you handle hundreds of millions of dollars for me? College dropout, rando guy who got fired as a math teacher. And then he starts handling that money. And the next thing you know, he starts his criminal enterprise. And, who visits Jeffrey Epstein 30 times? Ehud Barak, the Prime Minister of Israel. Interesting. Who else visits him? The head of Mossad. Interesting. Then Alan Dershowitz told Benny Johnson that he took Epstein to Israel and met members of their parliament. Interesting. By the way, don't ask questions about any of these. You're not allowed to ask these questions.
Or you're anti-Semitic. And that's what the video we showed before, when it was the Israeli, is an anthropologist? I forget what, and he mentioned that the new term, the new anti-Semitism is when you criticize the Israeli government. And that was a, matter of fact, go back and pull that video again. I got the very first one. Watch what this guy says. And so remember, this guy Epstein was affiliated in child pornography, pedophilia, convicted. And not only that, he has ties with the Mossad. He has ties with the Israeli former prime minister. All of these things that was in a criminal enterprise. And Donald Trump, the reason why he's getting pressure, because Donald Trump spent time and was befriended Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this guy is an Israeli anthropologist. That's the study of human societies over time. He's going to tell you about if you criticize the Israeli government today, that's let him tell you. Play.
Zionism was, we're not Jewish. We're Hebrew, we're Israelis. Jews are something else. Most Jews never went to Israel. You can't make Israel representative of Jews, and you can't hold Jews accountable for what Israel does. So I really think we're playing into what Israel calls the new anti-Semitism that was invented by the Israeli government that says any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitism. I think we have to negate that, and therefore I just wanted to say here that I was a little uncomfortable with the idea that somehow criticism of Israel has anything to do really with anti-Semitism.
Right, and that's why Tucker Carlson, if you pay attention to Tucker Carlson in the news, he's getting major heat because he's trying to be independent and non-biased in his reporting, and he's criticizing Israel. They're going to end that dude's career. He's already gotten threats already, okay? Now, go back to where we're at. I think we were pulling, there's a video, it starts at 10:17. I wanted some background on Jeffrey Epstein, who he was. Let's read this, and then we'll go back to the video.
Jeffrey Edward Epstein, January 20, 1953 through August 10, 2019, was an American financier and child sex offender. Born and raised in New York City, Epstein began his professional career as a teacher. Not professional, because to actually be a professional, you have to get tenured. You have to have college degrees. So that again, that's where you got to be careful with Wikipedia. He was awarded a position he wasn't even qualified for, but I guess anybody can teach. Read. Epstein began his professional career as a teacher at the Dalton School, despite lacking a college degree. Oh, I stand corrected. Wikipedia did say that. Read on. After his dismissal from the school in 1976. Wait, why did he get this? Why would you get dismissed from a school? Well, that means you get fired. Yeah. So he got fired didn't have a degree from a teacher, but yet he's still able to get a multi-million-dollar illegal company and elevated to the top of society, showing you that this is Esau's kingdom. Only in Esau's kingdom can one of his own get fired from a teaching job, not even have a degree, and still become successful, rich, and famous. And then now they're still trying to defend him, even though he was a convicted pedophile.
That's why I got fired from school. It was too much delectable stuff sitting around. So.
And that could be it. Right? I mean, allegedly. I mean, that's you never know. It's not unwarranted, because go back up to the top where it says something about child. Oh, he's sex. Click on child sex offender real quick. Oh, notice they got rid of that. Interesting.
Hey, Cap, it's a lot of stuff that's going to come out. That's why they don't want to release this stuff, because a lot of people is tied to Jeffrey Epstein and that Pizzagate stuff. Remember when that Pizzagate, whenever time they said pizza, it was a child, and every politician then went to that Epstein Island. And there's a book called Nation Under Blackmail by Whitney Webb, and she goes super deep into how all this stuff is tied into Epstein, because he was a major player in the sex trafficking of children.
Right, and that's very interesting you say that, because a lot of Esau, and I notice certain things. If you black in America and you understand who you are, you'd be surprised. They got code words for you. They'll make up words about you. Like there's one that everyone kind of knows. Oh, I hate Mondays. I can't stand it when Mondays come around. They talking about you. Now, we kind of caught to that one. They use other things. I caught it today. I'm like, why do they keep saying that? I'm like, oh, okay. As soon as I came around. And they tracking me. It's like a hunt. They hunt us. But the thing about it is, I know that's their job. They're designed to hunt me. They're designed to go. In their spirit, they've always hated us. Right. So I know that. So guess what? I'll be at peace with my neighbors. I'm wise as a serpent, but I'm harmless as a dove. So at the end of the day, I'm not going home to hang out with you. These are my brothers. I'm not worried about you. Just like you were, I'm worried about you. But the Jakes that really believe in this system and are hurt and care what they think of them, those are the ones that get hurt and end up drugged behind the car because your dumbass was alone after hours with Esau drinking beer. You're stupid. Okay, you're dumb. You're stupid as hell. Now, read on. Despite lacking a college degree, after his dismissal from the school in 1976, he entered the banking and finance sector, working at Bear Stearns
in various roles before starting his own firm.
Right, how do you, in order to start your own firm, you have to have what's called capital, investment capital to start your own firm. This guy had opportunity after he knew people in his non-college degree having ass who got fired from a school, was able to get his own firm. That is Esau's kingdom. Oh, wait a minute. 2000, that's his mugshot. 2006 is his mugshot. That's his mugshot. That's Jesus. That is why people today will, oh, he probably wasn't nothing. Okay. Now, real quick, let's get to the video. Obviously, yes, I know you would say something. Get to the video where it's time-stamped. Now, when you heard the word Epstein, we got a little bit of background, and obviously Thomas quoted some books, and there's a lot. You could do a whole month of shows on this whole Epstein thing. I wasn't going to touch. We could touch it more another time. They got books about it. They got people that have dug into it. You got child advocacy groups that have really turned the leaf over, all right? Play this. This guy is, okay.
Jeffrey Epstein, an agent or an asset of the Israeli intelligence, the Mossad?
I have no idea, Judge, but the question is fair given all of the mysteries surrounding Jeffrey Epstein and the
Pause.
links.
He said, the question is fair. He said, I don't know. He's trying to keep his nose out of it, trying to be politically correct. But like Officer Thomas said, he said, with all of the things that led up to him, because this was investigated at all levels. Now, what he's about to say next is, remember he said, a judge says, is he affiliated with Mossad? Well, the Young Turks guy said that he had ties with Mossad and the former Israeli prime minister and had a meeting with the Israeli cabinet. Why would an American dropout teacher who got fired, dropped out of college, started his own firm, why would he be affiliated with a foreign government's cabinet? Who is he? It goes deep. Could that mean that the Israelis could have been involved in some of the things that he was doing? How was he able to get away with it? Interesting. We don't know. And that's why they're cracking down on Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. They're catching hell right now. Okay? Anything you criticize the Israeli government, you criticize anything to do with it, you're an anti-Semite. Even the Israeli anthropologist just said, we can't do that. You cannot separate. If you criticize Israel, that's not anti-Semitism. Okay? And with the Israelites, we've been saying that for years and years and years. Okay? Play on. We almost done.
People at high levels have gone to conceal basic facts from the public, and but it's hard to say. It's not an issue that I've looked into deeply, so I don't know. But what I do know is that right now Trump and his allies are facing a serious backlash for good reason, given that so many of them, including Dan Bongino, hyped up this idea of a massive conspiracy and cover-up involving Epstein and a blackmail ring among elites.
So what he's talking about is when he said people in his own cabinet, you had people, including the vice president, J.D. Vance, up and as they was running, they all talked about it. They were on shows and everything. They talk, yeah, we need to the Epstein files. And people of his own cabinet up until last month were saying we need to release it. Now Trump is getting to the point where if they do release some stuff, he may be affiliated with that, and he doesn't want to touch it. So now he's on national. He's Epstein. That's a hoax. No one cares about that. We got stuff going on. He's trying to play it off because he understands the pressure's coming. So, play on.
Promised their voters accountability. They promised transparency. And what are they doing now? They're going back on that. Now, there could be a few reasons for that. One is because there is something really damning here, and Trump is implicated in it himself. And that's very plausible given that Trump, for a time, was very tight with Jeffrey Epstein. Or really all this has just been hype, and it's been hyped up to give MAGA leaders a excuse to make it appear as if they're doing something for the people while really doing nothing, while their actual policies, for example, cut things like Medicaid and hurt some of the MAGA base that put them in power. So I don't know, but certainly there are a lot of questions. Other people have looked into this closer than I have. There's that close Epstein associate, Maxwell, whose father did work with Israel. There are certainly questions that
he has to be careful what he's saying. So he says also his father worked with Israel. He's dropping little hints and stuff, and he's gonna make his point. He's a little long-winded like me, but he's gonna say something that's pretty relevant soon. Play on.
And and no matter what the truth is, I appreciate the fact that this controversy, whatever the facts are, is bringing scrutiny on Israel, because whether or not Epstein was a Mossad intelligence agent, it's absolutely clear that Israel has outsized influence on U.S. politics over Congress. And so whether that's achieved through blackmail or just through normal bribery, the point is this country, this tiny ethno-state that's now committing genocide, is sacrosanct in Washington, and that needs to be challenged. So I welcome any controversy that will bring scrutiny on Israel. I just don't know if the facts support Epstein being a Mossad agent.
So real quick, so Aaron Matei is an award-winning journalist. This guy was asked, he was dancing around the thing, is Epstein associated with Mossad in Israel? What he's saying is, and his main point is that the Israeli government, through lobbying, through AIPAC, influences Congress and the U.S. government. So you're getting all journalists are saying this, all different sects of society saying this. The Israeli, what was his name? The guy, the award-winning, he went to taught at Brown, served as an officer, enlisted in the IDF, was born in Israel, lived there all his life, went to Tel Aviv University. All that he said, after after undeniable proof, he didn't want to admit it. It's genocide that's going on in Israel. So you get different perspectives, show you that what they're doing is absolutely evil. All right, two more. Okay, Reese, get me the one I just sent you, Aki, and right before you said, yes, click the one, it says, Israel kills dozens more. So now, and then there's one in Syria after that, and then we're done. So this, and it's not hard to find. It's if you go to Al Jazeera, if you go to Reuters and other, every single day, the headlines say, Israeli forces kill more Palestinians. Every single day, it's tens and tens of, probably more than 100,000. And even more, hundreds of thousands that are seriously maimed and injured. Let's read this.
Israel kills dozens more in Gaza after 3 slain in attack on church.
And let's read the date on that. When's that? Today? Yesterday?
July 18, 2025.
Today.
Wait, that's tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow over there. Right. So this is real recent. Here's the point. So read on.
The daily death toll in Gaza continues to mount, with Al Jazeera's The daily death toll in Gaza continues to mount, with Al Jazeera's Arabic correspondents reporting that at least 56 more people were killed in Israeli attacks on the Palestinian enclave since dawn on Thursday. Condemnation grows over Israel's deadly attack on the Gaza's only Catholic church.
And it's ironic because the Catholic Church supports Israel internationally. So they're breaking their own, there's no Geneva Convention. Hospitals, churches, they're open. We'll just bomb them. Hamas may have a tunnel underneath the pew. Read on.
Which has killed 3 people and left at least 10 injured. Syrian state media has reported an Israeli airstrike in the vicinity of Suswada in the country's south, despite efforts by Damascus to cement a ceasefire between warring Druze and Bedouin fighters.
And that's all set up by Esau. It's all set up. They're trying to force northern Syrians to fight with one another. And remember, the Syria just fell. Remember, Assad and Syria just fell? And now Israel's attacking them. So that's all over the news this week. They're killing people in Syria. Okay? Let's read the war in Gaza. I don't believe that. I believe it's much. Read that.
Israel's war on Gaza has killed at least 58,667 people and wounded 139,974, according to Gaza's health ministry.
So we believe, I think everyone in this room, we believe it's much more than that. But even if that is true, it's under 60,000 and almost 140,000 people. When they say wounded, that ain't talking about a flesh wound that you could heal up. That's talking about you got a digits blown off, you're missing an eye, like seriously wounded. And these people here have loved ones that want vengeance for what happened to them. These are the future Allah Akbars. These are the second Ezra 15. These are the Arabs, and you think that all of their relatives only live in Palestine? You don't think some of them Arabs is related to Arabs in other places? You're crazy. They are the 12, they are related to each other. And they feel for each other. That's why in Egypt, in the football stadium, they were saying, free, free Palestine. The whole stadium was shaking. And there are Arabs in Egypt saying that. And was it Constantinople or Istanbul? Pull up real quick, and then we're going to close out. Pull up Erdogan, Turkey, Palestine rally. It showed hundreds of thousands of Turkish Islam, of Sunni, Shiite, whatever they are. Now, they're not Arabs, but they're Islamic. And they are all, the whole world is against Israel. Show the Erdogan speech at either Istanbul, Constantinople, the big city.
Yeah.
No, it's too late. Forget it. It's too hard for y'all. Go back to the article. It's not your fault.
I was just about to say to the point of the death toll, because a lot of them bodies they got under rubble, they're not even able to get those bodies. And then they destroyed all of the hospitals in Gaza. So they can't even support themselves out of that. So we know that the death toll is way more than 58,000 and it's way more wounded than 139,000. That's just what they can report and can guess.
And a lot.
Go ahead.
And a lot of those, they're not like you can't tell me that they pulling them out of there and they all got on war fighting uniforms. Them kids, they bombing a lot of women and kids.
And remember, they only talking about Gaza when they say that 60,000. And they mentioned in an earlier report we listened to, it said that it was a million in Rafah. Is that how it's pronounced? It was a million there. Don't forget what they did in against the other factions that they fighting. You know, they're killing hundreds of thousands everywhere. They just are murderous people. They're homicidal maniacs.
Man, if you could find that, but it's a speech, and they're all united. The not the Arabs, the Islam united, because it's the same religion as and it shows hundreds of thousands of people on one accord, and those are not the Arabs, and those are not the Carmanians. The whole Islamic world is up in arms. Okay, all right, let's get out of here. Go to, if you could find, I really would like to see that. I'm on my phone right now. I see a bunch of them. It's Erdogan, and it shows a whole crowd. We showed it on the show before, and I did. Hold up, victory speech. Nope. Oh gosh, this is from like 4 or 5 months ago. If you can find it, give me the one on Syria. I want to find that one. All right, so. All throughout, and this could have been a whole show. Israel did hundreds of assaults on Syria within this last week. So we're going to read this, and then we're going to close out with Laura Bakatek. Very quick one.
Not just about the Druze, Israel's rationale for its attacks on Syria. On Wednesday afternoon, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a video message to his country's Druze minority.
Remember, the teacher at Brown University, expert on genocide, mentioned Hitler's name with the same page as Netanyahu. It is a genocide. Hitler conducted a genocide, according to him, according to history. He said, who is the expert in all fields of genocide, that Netanyahu and the Israeli government is conducting genocide. Remember that. Play on. Read on.
He implored them not to cross into southwestern Syria to support Syrian Druze militiamen in their fight against local Boudin, and government forces in Suswita.
That's what the Green Berets do. They go in, they train up, counter against the government. They arm them, they train them, and they set them on to create beefs between areas, and then they create destabilization in societies. That's what they want to do. And that all Esau's behind all that fighting amongst the Druids. All that's Esau. Play on.
And yet, as Netanyahu made the statement, his own forces were bombing the Syrian capital Damascus, hitting the country's Ministry of Defense and killing at least 3 people.
Remember, Donald Trump recently took Syria off the embargo and the sanctions list. He said, we're going to open up business. We're going to see how they do. We'll see how Syria does. That was all over the news 3-4 weeks ago. So showing you that there is, if you think about it, if the U.S. set up and took sanctions off Syria, remember Assad's government toppled and they set up the Taliban up in Syria. And they were peace talks, and then Netanyahu, while that's going on, he bombs them. So who's in control? Netanyahu's in control of Israel and the U.S. government. The AIPAC, the Israeli influence, the deep state, all that they run. Trump is a front pawnsman. He would have never got elected if it wasn't for AIPAC. He has to fulfill his obligations to them. He owes them. Okay? You got that? This is Turkey. President Erdogan, the Islamic State of Turkey, I mean, that's their national religion. They were outraged at what was happening in Gaza, and this is them in the street, showing you that the whole world is up in arms against the genocide that the least of the flock, worst of the heathen. Play.
Democracy and authoritarian rule. Well, Ola Gerin has our top story tonight from Istanbul.
Istanbul tonight. One more night of mass protests. One more night of defying a government ban on demonstrations. There's been nothing like this here for over a decade. And the chant tonight, President Ekrem. Supporters of the city's jailed mayor demanding his release.
Okay, this is not it. This is similar. This is years ago. This one, but the point is that they were like this. It was for Palestine. It was the Islamic. Anyways, not a big deal. Go to the last one in Syria, the article in Syria. Or did we finish that one? I think we finished it. Okay. All right. There was one more I posted. I think that was it. Akim, I think that was it. What's 6? Let me see that. Okay, this is about Einstein. What is this? Now, okay, so if y'all want to look, right, there's a whole, I think there's a court doc. These are district court. So this is public information. You can dig. You can be your own. This is what, Thomas, you said, the book, that lady that wrote that, she dug into all that.
Yes, sir.
And like, for example, if you're trying to hide evil and you say pizza, you mentioned, Thomas, you said pizza, what'd you said? The words pizza was for
Pizzagate.
Pizzagate. And like Watergate with Nixon, they used Pizzagate. It's a cover-up is what they're saying. You can go look into this and find out for yourself. This is why when he died as he was a convicted sex crimes against minors, okay? So you can go look into this yourself. So when you hear about Jeffrey Epstein and his connection with Trump, that's why they're trying, because Trump had ties with this guy, along with many other famous people. That's why they wanted to go away, okay? Go back to, I think that was it. Go ahead.
You know what's funny about that, Cap, is he was a convicted sex offender.
Right.
He was able to get jobs and everything, no problem. But it also mentioned that his associates were convicted too, but you never hear about his associates, you know, who they were and what they did. So there's a lot of people, that's why, you remember, he committed suicide while he was in jail, and that's what was supposed to have happened to him. But he had so much knowledge of so many things, he was never getting out of there.
And to your point, there's an old expression in Esau's world. They say, let dead dogs lie. We've heard that expression because if he's dead, close that chapter, because if you open that chapter up, a lot of other of his friends and rich people, they're going to be implicated, and they don't want that. So so when you hear about, the whole point of bringing up Epstein is that Epstein had ties to, indirect or directly, to Mossad and the Israeli government. But why? And why is everything being covered up? And to show you that it's never going to be uncovered. The reason why is because the Jewish Israeli Zionist government, through AIPAC and other organizations like Mossad, they control the U.S. government. They control policy. They control what Washington does. All right? And we showed you multiple examples tonight of, if you criticize Israel, you're anti-Semitic. We had a Jewish anthropologist say that. We had an expert on genocide say that it's unescapable evidence. I cannot deny it. It is a genocide. This is from a Jewish scholar who said that. So anyways, we're done, y'all. Let's go to Laura Back Attack. Thanks for sticking around.
You can tell by my gait that I'm all in. You can tell by my faith that I'm all in. Front line with the truth, I'ma fall in. Even if it's a dead end, going all in. You can tell by the things I'm involved in. I can lose it all for my calling. If I die for the truth, it's a win-win. And going to the end, going all in. Going all in. Yeah. You can tell by my gait that I'm all in. You can tell by my faith that I'm all in. Front line with the truth, I'ma fall in. Even if it's a dead end, going all in. You can tell by the things I'm involved in. I can lose it all for my calling. If I die for the truth, it's a win-win. And going to the end, going all in. Going all in. Yeah. You can tell by my gait that I'm all in. You can tell by my faith that I'm all in. Front line with the...
Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ bless. Men's conference last year, we set a goal. We said that, and I predicted it's going to take 2 years. We said by men's conference of 2026, which was 2 years, which had been from 2024, that we're going to get every single man is going to get to the green. And I think what you're going to find is after 1 year, I think maybe about half our men are going to get there. Some got from the red to the yellow, others got from yellow to green, others went back and forth. So you men, this men's conference, if you didn't do what you're supposed to, there are consequences coming down the line. There's consequences coming down the line. You have to take your help seriously, and if you're not concerned with that, then you eventually not going to be going to battle with us. I'm going to tell you that. I think that may happen. I'm not saying it's definitely going to, I think it may happen. Because we're not going to have no fat back, giant slob lard asses that camp with us. That's what we want. You're a liability to us, is what you are. And a lot of you brothers in the yellow, it's not hard for you to get to the green. You just need to control yourself and be more disciplined. Speaking of control, get Sirach 30, verse 15. We need to hear the same scriptures over and over again, just like right now. It is July. Halloween will be starting advertised next month. And every year. And then right after Halloween, they start doing the Christmas advertisements. Why? Because they always want you to remember their customs. Well, our customs on eating and health are here. We're going to keep going over them again. Read.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 30, verse 15.
Let me refrain. Not custom. These are our precepts, which are laws. Precept upon precept. This tells us about health. Read.
Health and good estate of body are above all gold.
Health is synonymous with a good estate of body. If you have bad health, you have a bad estate of body. Read on.
And a strong body above infinite wealth.
The way that you get a strong body is that you have your diet, your meat in your check, your diet, your food. You're doing a certain amount of exercise. Give me that in Timothy. Physical exercise, I think it's 1 Timothy 2. I can't remember. I don't remember where it is. It's in 1 Timothy something. Just type in bodily exercise and write it down. Start at verse, let me hear 7. Why did I think? Let me hear 7 first. So listen up, y'all. Men's conference is coming down the corner, right around the corner, rather. And a lot of you are scrambling at the last minute. Even some of you captains, you should be ashamed of yourself. Read.
The book of 1 Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8. For bodily exercise profited little.
Read 7.
Verse 7. But refuse profane and old wives' fables, and exercise thyself rather unto godliness.
Right. Exercise thyself unto godliness. Right. So exercise yourself to godliness is knowing the scriptures. So right now, this is large back attack. We're going to exercise godliness when it comes to eating and health scriptures. Okay, read on.
Verse 8. For bodily exercise profited little.
So it doesn't profit a lot, but it does profit. That's why there's such a larger proportion of scriptures dealing with health, what to eat and not to eat, as there is when it comes to working out. So if you are working out, you're doing a little something, but you're fixing your meat diet, that's going to do more. It's going to do more. And matter of fact, if you study the exercise scientists, right, they even tell you, and just Google exercise scientists, they even tell you 2 days of heavy compound strength training can do worlds for your body. Just 2 days, okay? So you don't need to train like Lee Haney and Arnold Schwarzenegger in a gym 18 hours or 30 hours a week. Read on.
But godliness is profitable unto all things.
Now go to Sirach 30. We jump from 15. Let's go to 25. This is a review. Y'all brothers in the green, stay where you're at. We're going to lower the standard every year. You brothers in the yellow, you're like lukewarm. I don't understand it. You just need to lose 20, 30 pounds. Just eat 1 meal a day. If you can't do that, do 2 meals a day in a small window. Be in a calorie deficit and do some cardio. Cardio doesn't burn fat, it burns calories. Let me just say this to you. I'm going to talk about this at men's conference, but real quick. If you have, this is very simple. If all of you out there would just do these 3 things, I promise you, you can lose 2 pounds a week. Watch this. Number 1, find out what your resting maintenance calories are per day. You can do that. There's apps that do it. There's some scales that do it. If you find out what your daily maintenance calories are units of energy, right? Look at the label. Candy bars, 260 calories. A thing of Greek yogurt has 80. Look at the calories. If your maintenance calories is, let's make it plain, 2,000 calories a day is your baseline or your maintenance calories, right? And you eat 500 calories below your maintenance every day. You with me? Watch this. Multiply that by 7. How many calories is that? 3,500. Let me say it again because a lot of you fat ones at home, you missed it. If you have maintenance calories of 2,500 or 2,000, if it's 25, you eat 5, it's 2,000. If it's 2,000, you eat 5, it's 1,500. So you're in a 500 calorie eating deficit per day. Multiply by 7, what is it? 3,500 calories. How many calories are in 1 pound of human fat? 3,500 calories. Now watch this. This is We Coach Brothers entry level. If you, and by the way, if you don't want to hear from me, go type in white exercise scientist and then they can tell you that. If you burn 500 calories extra, so I'm talking about you're doing running 3 miles, you're doing a certain number of steps, you're doing elliptical, you're doing a bike, whatever you're doing, you're walking hills, whatever you're doing, right? Walking with the weighted vets, and you burn 500 additional calories through some form of cardio, right? Guess what that is? If you have 500 calorie deficit, 500 calorie of cardio, which burns 500 calories, right? What is the deficit that it puts us into? 1,000 calorie deficit per day, right? I'm giving you a super easy version. What is that per week? 7,000 calories. You with me, y'all? That's 2 pounds of body fat. And by the way, 1,500 calories, if you're eating 1 meal or 2 meals, that's still a lot of food. But it can't be Pop-Tarts and doggone rice and beans. And it needs to be whole food keto or just low carb whole food. Now, I'm almost done. If you were to do that for 1 year, mathematically, it just works. You could lose 104 pounds in 1 year. And that's not even major. So you're eating a slight deficit every day. And you're burning extra calories. You could do, say you walk 15,000 steps. That may burn more than 500 calories. That's why they have these step counters. We hear Esau talk about all the time. They say, oh, Mildred, I did my 12,000 steps today. That's why not a bunch of Esau women care more about than black women do. It's a damn shame. Now, anyways, so 500, you're burning 500 calories a day. You find out your maintenance, you eat 500 below. You burn 500 calories worth of, you do 500 calories burn worth of cardio. That's 1,000 per day. That's 2 pounds of fat a week. That's a minimum. Everybody could have lost at least 100 pounds this last year. Just do that. And I just gave you the blitzkrieg version of that. Now, Sirach 30:25, we're going to close out.
Yes, sir.
If you're in the red, you're a fat slob. You're disgusting. It's been 11 and a half months. Listen, none of you should be at camp. You're a bunch of fat slobs. You're disgusting and terrible, and you look like an elephant. That's my personal opinion, and I'm not going to change it. You yellow brothers, you just playing games because you're like 2 sandwiches away from the doggone green. You greensmen, you are marvelous, and you are excellent. And if you go to the yellow, then you're a traitor. I'm just messing with you. Hey, it is what it is. Hey, I got brothers right in this room right now. They know I'm telling the truth, right? Play.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 30, verse 25. A cheerful and good heart will have a care of his meat and diet.
We got a cheerful and good heart. We're going to have a care of our meat and diet, right? Read on.
That's it, Cap.
Okay, last one. No, that was the last one. Brothers and sisters, thank you for staying. We are actually 4 minutes ahead of schedule. Thank you. That's Law Back Attack. Men's conference right around the corner. You brothers that are in the yellow, implement some water fasting with your doctor's advice. You can drop a lot of weight if you water fast 3-4 days in a row with some salts and some electrolytes. You can lose a lot of body fat in a couple of weeks. But make sure you're working with your doctor, because I'm not one. With that, we say shalom.
You can tell by my gait that I'm all in. You can tell by my faith that I'm all in. Front line with the truth, I'ma fall in. Even if it's a dead end, going all in. You can tell by the things I'm involved in. I can lose it all for my calling. If I die for the truth, it's a win-win. And going to the end, going all in. Going all in.
Hey, shalom. Welcome back, Israel. Most High in Christ bless. And like we always do at the beginning and the end of the show, Booster Club. We know that without y'all, we're not going to the Solomon Islands. We're not going to South Africa. We're not going to Liberia. We're not going to Japan, Australia. We're going all across the earth. It's because of you faithful men and you women of the Booster Club. We thank you. We give a shout out to you. We appreciate y'all. And we hope that the Lord continues to use y'all to help push this truth at IUIC. We appreciate y'all. So that was tonight's show. Tech Guy's happy. We're actually a little bit under 2 hours, and we're going to keep that time. We appreciate all y'all. Give us, donate to our, not donate, excuse me. Subscribe to our YouTube page. We're over 30,000, and next one is 40,000. So with that, late night show, share in the morning when you get up. Share it, share it, share it. We appreciate y'all. And in case you can't tell, this is tough. For me personally, I'm always tired. I be fighting to stay awake. I appreciate y'all. Tech team does a good job. And if I was a superhero, my name would be Captain Overtalk, because I know I do it, but it is how I stay up. So all praise to the Most High. I'm Captain Shem.
Officer Micah.
Officer Yasser.
Officer Thomas.
Without Israel, we say shalom.
Love, even if you don't